everyone. I'm Michelle. This is my co host, Shell. And today we are diving into a journey of creativity, courage, and flow. Of course, we're the Wildflow'ers. And our guest is a man who has spent 2 decades performing, teaching, and unlocking the power of self expression. From a scared silence to flow speaking, from a lost young man to deep inspiration, he's lived it all. And he has the stories, the wisdom, and the humor, of course, to prove it. So let's give a warm welcome to the man who might just freestyle his way into your soul, Dave Rock. Dave, hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, good, good, good. Thanks for being here. Are you ready to flow with us?
Let's find out.
Okay. So your story is like a novel I'd binge read in one sitting. You've been a poet, a playwright, a hospital clown, and your words, a Muppet on crack. So if your life had a tagline, for example, what would it be?
That's funny. Do you know, it always entertains me when people quote things back from my website to me because I actually wrote it so long ago. It's like I've completely forgotten, what it says there. And then anytime somebody brings up a bit, it's like, oh yeah, I did write that, didn't I? Okay. If my life had a tagline in this moment, what would it be? I don't know. I don't know what the tagline of my life is. I'm very, in general, I think I'm actually very resistant to attempts to summarize, reality, whether it's my personal reality or anybody else's. And I think that, I mean, the reason I love poetry and story so much is that they're both very open-ended art forms. They resist any attempt to tie them down into meaning one specific thing, which means that they create a lot of space where we can all be together, inside of them. And maybe it's also just because I'm like neglecting the whole marketing and, promotional. I haven't, like the last couple of years, I've been actually making almost no effort in terms of bringing work in. I've just been taking what comes. So that's like, I mean, it's just like a very long-winded way of saying I have no idea how to summarize myself right now in this moment.
I think that's a good thing though, because
Yeah, totally.
you've explained where you're at and why. So I think that's absolutely a perfect place to be. And
Yeah.
I love the whole just, I mean, that you really inflow if you're just taking what comes, which hopefully
Yeah,
is good enough,
totally. Yeah.
versus getting into the hype machine of particularly social media. I know, I'll be honest, it's something I do from time to time, but I find it quite evil on another level.
Mm.
But yeah, it's there, I guess, to be used if you wish to, etc. And what would be an example, Dave, of one of the most recent sort of pieces of work that's come your way unexpectedly?
Mm. I've been working with a really wonderful small group of women who've done some of my previous courses, and they just got together because they've been Zooming together every single week for the last 2 years. Since doing a course with me, they've kept going with their like peer group format. And so they brought me in just to explore kind of on a much more kind of like long-term, deeper work basis, staying with them as they open up more of their own flow speaking, capacities and their relationship to expressing themselves fully. And it's just been really sweet. Um, I'm working with a woman who's writing a book about conscious parenting, which is also, yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. And one of my favorite things, it's on pause at the moment, but I've been helping a woman write a screenplay about lucid dreaming and altered states of consciousness and various other things.
Wow, that
Mm.
sounds exciting.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I love is that, I never put myself out there as somebody who could help people, with the A or the B or the C, but people just come to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I find that beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's also you are a great inspiration, of course, and flow seems to be a central theme in your life. I remember the course I took at yours, the flow speaking course. Um, I think, yeah. Do you, when did you realize it was a guiding force in your life, that flow, like new doors opening, taking the opportunity, stay in flow, not like moving out of your path?
There's different, I mean, I think there's kind of different, gateways with these things, but I've been writing fiction and poetry since I was about 7 or 8. And, it's frequently intoxicating to me. Like I very often enter into expanded states of consciousness just from allowing the writing to move through.
Hmm.
And then I started to do performance poetry in my early 20s. And just in the process of practicing, getting ready in order to be up on a stage in front of a room full of people in order to share my thing. And at the time, it was competitions, right? Slam poetry is, like you're competing
Hmm.
against other people's poems. But in the process of practicing, like I started to go outside to practice. So I would be speaking my poetry to the sky, to the horizon line, to the earth, speaking my poetry to the trees. And I just kept on going like back and back into my body because I started to realize something that I just found very strongly very early on was that, the same poem could really light up a room, fill up a room on some days, and it could just fall, flat on its ass on another day. And I realized that that was about me tuning into the energy of the people that were there and meeting them where they were and, allowing not just the words, but also the energy, the emotion, the tone, the physical expression, all of those things to be shaped by the feeling in the room and by my willingness to let people in and to let the moment in. Because like the way that I've really come to relate to speaking now, it's like, how am I holding myself? How am I holding this moment and these people? And how am I holding these words and letting myself feel how these words want to be spoken? So it's never, like I've come up with this perfect plan of I'm going to say this, then this, then this, and it's going to look
Doesn't
like this,
work,
and it's
yeah.
going to sound like that, it's going to feel like this. Then everyone's going to do that, and then I'm going to be like, yes. It's a much more mysterious and alchemical thing. So I started to practice my spoken word from that place. It's like instead of trying to decide how to do anything, it's trying to allow myself to breathe so much life into the territory of a poem or a story so that when I'm actually with people, I'm free to go anywhere inside of it based on the connection, like the living, breathing connection. So I just started to feel incredible doing that by myself. And then I realized that, just out outside to the trees or the whatevers, or just lying on my bed and talking to the ceiling, but being in my body, it's different from being with other people, but it can be just as fulfilling, just as intoxicating, just as much of a liberation and a self-expression, and just as real. So, in other words, I realized, that practicing any of these things, it's not something I was doing in order to be better in the future, in order to get something. It's like if I'm here speaking a bit of poetry right now, this is me living
Mm.
my gifts. This is it. There's no separation. Does that make sense?
Of course, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
It reminds me a little bit of the story of Dionysos, who was a speaker back in the old Greece, and he spoke in front of other people, and he was so bad, and everything. Everyone throw things at him and everything, and he was like, what can I do to be a better speaker?" And a friend told him that the content of his message was okay, but it was just the way he was bringing it out was not okay. So he put himself 3 months in the cave, closed everything, shaved half of his head, and trained in front of a mirror to be the greatest speaker ever. And he got back and he was the greatest speaker ever. So it's all about training, what you mentioned as well, but also accepting failures, because as we also knew from one of our last podcasts, failure can be a fertilizer, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. And I think, you know, as I get older and older with each year as well, like a big part of what lets me stay connected to a sense of inspiration and flow is, letting go of all of my ideas of myself and of, who I was like meant to be in this life. And like as a child and, as a young man, I was told so often how, talented I was and how intelligent I was and like, oh, you're going to do great things. And that it's actually extremely unhelpful to most of us to hear stuff like that again and again and again. And like I think on some level, I expected all these wonderful things to fall into my lap. Um, and my life has actually been a lot more stopping and starting and a lot more like really up and down. And like so many people, like I've had like chronic exhaustion. I've had pain in my voice for quite a few years now, and lots of different things. That life throws things at all of us, and most of us, I think, like a real willingness to love the experiences of failure and the senses of failure and all of those things. It's so important, and beyond that, I mean, like my whole relationship to what it means to be fulfilled and to be living our gifts, whether it's me or you guys or anyone, it's like really been moving towards something that's much more simple and sustainable and natural for years now. Which, like, again, like I said, anytime I speak a bit of poetry, that's me living my potential in that moment. And I feel like we've got to separate ourselves from all the kind of crazy making confusions of the marketplace and the competitiveness and all the idea, and to just keep like coming home into, the body and the breath and into the sense of like, how does my creativity or how does my spirit or just how does the spark of life, which is much greater than me, just want to be lived in this moment. Um, I've forgotten where I started with that
That's
actually,
okay.
but
It's completely
yeah.
okay. Totally okay. We know what you mean.
I was loving it. Yeah. And
Let's talk,
you
please. Go
talked
ahead.
you talked about the breath, Dave. Um, Such a obviously essential part for us to bring us back to where we are. And I gather maybe you've done some forms of breath training in your journey, and wondered if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that and any other key things that help bring you back to where you want to be at any given point, because it's always different. Um, I've witnessed a lot of your images and posts with a really strong sense of nature being very important to you. So yeah, I'd just love to hear about some of the little things that you do that bring you back to where you want to be.
Mm. Yeah, I have, I've practiced so many things at this stage and I played around with all the things I practiced. So I'm kind of very much in a place of kind of mashing together and improvising and kind of, freestyling my own practices generally. And when I was younger, it was generally like all very much about like just how much raw excitement can I generate within myself and how much energy can I have and how lit up can we feel inside? Which is, it's a wonderful thing and it is still a huge part of it for me, but it's often also just noticing about, like where am I, what's stuck inside of me, what wants to be felt, what wants to be voiced, what wants to be let go. Um, so when I practice flow speaking games by myself, it's all about, first of all, just to what extent can I allow life in this moment on the inhalation? And can I notice, bits of tension or stuckness or tinglings or places that I haven't been breathing into? And can I breathe into all of it or more of it without any kind of effort or judgment? And then on the exhale, can I just let myself go a little bit more? Can I share myself a bit more with this moment? Again, with no judgment. And then generally I just start to play speaking games. And the thing about flow speaking for me is, it's all about being completely honest all the time. So I'm never trying to convince myself of something or make something more wonderful than it is. I'm just saying what is actually here, what I'm, desiring, what I'm afraid of, anything else. And I have to I feel like we all have so much nonsense and madness inside of us. So you've got to make space for all of that. So I talk a lot of rubbish. I say a lot of strange things. And it's all really like Dionysius in his cave or like anyone else, it's not so much about the words. It's about the feeling that I'm allowing myself to share with the world and allowing the world to share with me. Um, so I'm kind of just inventing my own different. I do like qigong and breathwork and other stuff too, but I do a lot of making stuff up. Crazy proof affirmations, crazy proof self-love, and crazy proof gratitude is, some games I've made up and played with people a lot.
I love
Do you
that
do those
games.
online and like a part of a workshop? That
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Could do a tiny bit right now with you guys
Yeah,
if you want.
yeah. I loved the course I took at yours, the flow speaking course. Like you celebrate things like writing or telling crap, going blank, having no idea what you are doing. What is a bold approach as well. It's maybe also a little bit terrifying for people who think they are blocked. I know blocking is not a word for you because there is no blocking. You told on your website as well, but also letting go of that control. It's hard for many people, especially perfectionists, I believe. And so I've found it beautiful that you have all those games. So maybe I can get you there, um, perfectioning, like freestyling life itself. Let's say life threw you on a stage right now and gave you 30 seconds to freestyle about coffee. Let's take coffee. How would you
Okay.
flow with that?
Let me just say something first. I don't remember exactly what I wrote about blocks, but I just to be clear, I think, all of us have times where our creativity can really, be quiet or be sidelined or whatever. And in my experience, it's normally because there's things that we don't want to feel or don't want to say. And I've experienced, that many times myself too. It just consciously or unconsciously, I've just been, hiding something or just leaving something to one side. And so like the kind of practice for staying as unblocked as possible is to just have this space where you're just totally by yourself and you just voice all of those things that might be there that want to be said in this unconditional, there's no consequences because nobody's listening. You're just saying stuff.
Mhm.
And it's crazy how it can be scary to say something out loud, even when you're alone in a room. Um, but, when we do that, that's when the blocks keep on dissolving. Um, so coffee, let's go with that. I have a couple of lines in a thing I wrote many years ago, actually, like something like a caffeinated roller coaster symphonic buzz, a garbage heap, a part of me I no longer trust. I am often excessively caffeinated, but a single cup can be too much for me, you see. The problem is that I think I'm already so excessively wired up to certain parts of reality. There's already so much, honey and lightning wanting to flow through me that just having a cup of coffee is really, like throwing petrol onto a fire sometimes, which isn't to say that I don't do it. I do. It's perhaps my most persistent addiction. And, I've been doing a lot of deep soul searching and I've been deciding again and again and again for a while now, I need to consciously uncouple from coffee. And, I'm asking the world to give privacy to my family during this dark and difficult time as I allow myself to, cast that Patronus and exile that Dementor from my body and my nervous system just a little bit more.
Wow, absolutely amazing.
But you guys, look, we could play the self-love game for a minute. I'm just
Sure.
remembering out. So, like, one way that I play it with people is you just go, I love XYZ, and XYZ loves me. And you can put anything into that. So, I'll do it for like 30 seconds or something, and then I'll pass it over to you guys. So, I love my sore voice, and my sore voice loves me. I love the fatigue, and the fatigue loves me. I love this little bit of giddiness rising up my spine in this moment, and it loves me. I love all the anger and frustration and confusion and the spiraling, and it loves me. I love the beautiful handmade things and the air in this room and the light in this room and the rhythm in my body and all that loves me. And I love my voice, and my voice loves me. So if I pass it over, it doesn't have to be poetic, it doesn't have to be interesting, it doesn't have to be anything at all. But you guys just have a go, saying a sentence or two.
Okay. Shall I go first?
Michelle.
I love my background picture with a mushroom. Reminds me of the forest, which I so love. Being in the forest loves me as well because it gives me healing. I love creativity. I love drawing pictures. The painting loves me. I love music. The music loves me because it sets me in a different mood always when I listen to. I love writing as well, and the paper and the pen loves me as well. Is that good?
That was great. That was really wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Here goes the perfectionist already trying to think ahead. It's a wonder I didn't secretly lift the pen and try and do some bullet points before we got started. But I love the moments when I catch myself out. And I love me. I love where my life has led me to be here in the now, and that life loves me and holds me. And with that, all the connections and possibilities that I now get to love as well that have become parts of me. And I love my cat a lot, like a lot. And she hasn't come and visited today, but I still love her and I can see her off to the side and she nourishes me and she provides me with the opportunity to love
Mm.
as well, which is very important and nourishing for me.
Mm.
And the other act of self-love, which is so important to me, is eating cheese.
Mhm.
I love cheese, and cheese loves me. Thank
Great.
you.
So what did you notice just in the moment of doing that?
For me, the heart just got really warm.
Mm.
And I did put my hand on there because it felt anchoring as well. Um, it was a reminder though of letting go of that perfectionism and being aware of that bubbling up. And yeah, I know that when we were kids, or high school even, you did impromptu speeches as part of English.
Mm.
You had to go up in front of the class and just start talking for a minute about fishing or whatever the topic was. And that's where it takes me back. So there is a fear thing there as well, for sure.
Mm.
Mm. So it's trying to override that and knowing that you're safe and
Yeah.
making you feel like the container is safe. It's letting go to just trust and yeah, without
Mhm.
thinking, just
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Lovely.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
notice as well that little fear, a little shame in the beginning. Or I have to talk in front of. I think talking in front of people is more common than the fear of death. I
Hmm.
read it somewhere, and but if you once reach the state of I don't care anymore what other people think, I think that's a huge relief as well. And I love especially your games where we had to take the room, like speaking out of just our place we are sitting in, like just with a simple phrase, I am Michelle, or I am Dave, or I am Shell. I am Michelle, and just like growing bigger and bigger and bigger as well with your voice. And it's a kind of a relief when you practice that a little bit, when you get into that flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. One of my favorite games that I play with people, is just saying, here I am,
Hmm.
and here we are. And when you keep saying those, and you can do this by yourself, or you can do it with 100 people. But when you just really feel the words as you say them and you feel them in the air after you've spoken, so much comes up.
Yeah.
And like I've had people doing it for 10, 15 minutes, just walking around a room, touching hands and just saying, here we are to each other. And like half the room is in, just like running with tears after 5 minutes of saying this. And it's an incredible um, experience of the depth and the power in the simplest of statements, and also of how any words can in themselves be enough,
Hmm.
can mean enough and can convey enough. And at the same time, you could stack the most glorious syllables on top of each other and on top of each other again and again and again, and it can be totally empty. And the difference is, like, are you breathing all the way down into your body? Are you holding the words as they come? Are you with the person that you're speaking with? And it's always vulnerable.
Yeah.
So, the vulnerability doesn't go away, thank God. And I don't think I would ever say that I don't care what people think or how they feel about me when I'm speaking with them. But what we can certainly release is any kind of sense of fear of how people are going to respond, and any kind of idea that we're supposed to look and feel and sound a certain way and get a certain response from them. Um, I have a bit of a poem I wrote the first time I got really, really high on raw chocolate. And it goes, I'm talking about the love that we are, the kind that doesn't try to hold on, but simply flows and unfolds from the knowing that these others exist. Like these souls that feel kissed, though these lips sometimes miss, a love that never gives or receives, hostages, just fosters the kids of each other's shy chemical melodies, and we meet in the place where our prayers can breed. And every breath that ever flows through me would be richer for having known you and told you that I love you. Because I feel a love coming that does not care who we think we are. And I think that, okay, so like one aspect of really feeling free to be all that we are and to let all of that, like take up a space to allow our voice to fill up a room, or our energy, our light to fill up a room, and to reach out to people is separating out the meeting of our emotional needs from our career or our identity or our role in that moment. So things, like all human beings, we need to feel loved and we need to feel seen and heard. We need to feel like people acknowledge us, that we need to feel like our story has been told. But the way I see it is we never need for that to happen in a particular way, in a particular moment, with a particular group of people. And often, if you do speaking as part of your career in any kind of a sense, or as an artist, on some level, like you're like going around, trying to milk the love all the time. And when normal people in your life are trying to love you in normal ways, people often actually block it out, or they avoid it, or they distract, or they don't let it all the way in. And when we practice, feeling the love, feeling seen and heard and recognized and feeling held by other people and by the world itself, when we practice allowing that reciprocal current of energy and emotion to be in a flow in our life in general, then we're kind of saturated, like, right? It's like,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
soak all that into yourself as often as you can. And then when you show up to a room full of people, you're not trying to fill a hole. You're just sharing what's already there within you. And when the people do love you back for doing it, it's wonderful and you can let it in, but it's not, there's no fear in that equation because you're not seeing them as the only way that you can feel like it matters or whatever.
Mhm.
Hmm.
There's that. I know, I mean, it's actually what I'm saying is actually very simple.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You're included as well the parts where people tell, well, I am here and I am not here for dot dot dot,
oh,
and
yeah,
to
yeah.
fill in something. I think that's also a kind of relief, and of like training yourself to use your voice and to dare to speak out your truth as well, which a lot of people don't
Yeah.
do. Oh my God, I cannot say that and that because what other people might think is not good and anything. It's like daring to use your voice and daring to speak your truth. Uh, those games really help a lot.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, like, just for anyone watching this now, that game is, I started to do it when I was doing poetry and stuff. I would just silently in my head say, I'm not here to make you all love me. I'm not here to blow your minds. I'm not here to make you all want to have sex with me or, whatever it is. I'm not here to save everyone. Then I started to say it out loud sometimes too. And then I get everyone in my workshops to do it. And just the moment you say it, there's like such a release in the room, right?
Hmm.
Um, but oh, damn it. No, I had something like really good to say after that, but it's gone in this moment. Yeah. It's nice talking to you guys. Feels very easy, feels very natural. You've got a nice way of holding this podcast. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave, I've got a curious question about collaboration.
Mm.
And I just remember, I haven't been to this workshop, but I remember going, this has got a really freaking cool title. And it's the one you did with Jamie that kind of takes the Mickey out of like spiritual
Yeah,
bypassing. And
yeah, yeah.
what was that called? I couldn't remember. Like, something
Instant
about
enlightenment.
dollars.
Instant enlightenment and $1 million.
Yes, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you still run it like once a year or something together, or not so much?
It's been, I wouldn't say no, but I think it's been maybe a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thunder Kundalini. So much Kundalini, even your ancestors will be twerking.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
pissed myself laughing when I read the how do you say that in English? The
Do we
context
need to give them
the
a
Context.
context of
poke?
the workshp,
Yeah.
yes.
I think
Maybe I always wanted to do it, so it just didn't was timing. So I don't know whether it's like, well, we've done that, or whether you do it again. But
no, no.
yeah,
I mean, I'd imagine we're both totally open. I can send Jamie a message and see.
gonna say I could poke him as well and just say we brought it up in the chat. He's always open to those sorts of things. So yeah,
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
yeah. Have you done anything else collaborative in the last year? Any new workshops or offers?
It's been a very quiet year. Um, I have some kind of real exhaustion thing going on for a few years now, and my voice is often sore.
Mhm.
So I have been doing things. I've just often been kind of backing away a bit from doing too much.
Yeah.
And, like I'm kind of on one level all ready to go to do another big flow speaking course like I was doing for a couple of years, but I don't think I'm quite there at this moment. Yeah, something on like the kind of physical and emotional level is just something that's out of whack that needs more rest, needs more release, needs more something. Um, so things are very quiet on that front.
Yeah.
Although that said, I mean, I could have easily done some stuff and then just completely forgotten. Things tend to kind of disappear out of my mind quite quickly. Yeah.
Mm.
I am putting together a book about flow speaking. Um, I first started one maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and instantly, as has generally been my impulse for all of my life, I just tried to cram, absolutely everything imaginable into it. So it became overwhelming, within the first chapter or so. And then a year or so ago, I just found this much simpler, cleaner feeling format, which is, just like one idea and then one little story, maybe from my own life, maybe from a workshop or whatever. And then that way I can just get everything down. Um, so, yes, I'm working on that and coming back to a novel at the moment as well, and working on some poetry stuff. But yeah, it's been
Quieter times.
it's quiet. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. And sometimes we need that. Mm.
Definitely have. Anytime I have done anything, like anytime I make a guest appearance or I have a group or whatever, it always feels wonderful. But there's not like some big fire in me, to be making it happen at the moment. Like in general as well, it's something that I do love about the way my work has gone over the years. It's like I definitely had a phase, probably most of us have, where I was just putting so much energy into like, you know, what's it going to say on my website and what do I call the workshops and how do I angle my niche in the vortex of, and all of that stuff has basically just gone for me because I just don't have the energy or interest to care about any of it.
Mm.
And so my career is kind of just happening
Mhm.
uh, somehow, in some
Yeah.
miraculous way most of the time.
Yeah, I
Mm.
can feel you on this one. In the beginning, I was also like, what title do I choose and what words do I put in and everything. And well, now usually I take something what happened to me in real life in this actual moment, or I simply go to the forest, which is so inspiring. And when I come back there, I got already something in my head to write, to put it out and everything. So nature gives me a lot of inspiration as well on that subject. Yeah.
Completely. Yeah.
Hmm.
And
And
Dave, there's a beautiful picture of a leaf sheep sea slug.
yeah.
Very
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Saw it as
And
well.
I love the little dialogue. And I've brought someone to say hello to you.
Oh,
Someone thought that maybe it was a Moomin troll.
uh-huh.
I'd like you to meet Mervyn.
Nice.
So he looks a lot like that gorgeous wee picture.
Oh, what a beautiful creature. I feel like I should introduce you guys to, hang on here. That's a, can you see that? It's a wolf.
Oh yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yeah.
beautiful.
It's a stone painting, no?
It is a sandstone carving. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Wow.
Yeah, we are painting stones as well to put into the forest. There are
Thank you.
so many face groups now with stone painting, like from your region, coast stones or forest stones or speaking stones, anything, and you just put the Facebook address behind, and you put your drawing, your picture on the stone. You take it to the forest, and usually, when you take the picture, you can collect the stone and take it home, or you can put it out otherwhere on another place so somebody can find it. And usually the stones walk around the world or
Oh,
around
wow.
Europe. Never mind. And usually you have quickly an answer when you put the picture on Facebook, which is quite lovely to connect people as well.
Yeah, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. One of my, one of my favorite realizations about creativity in general, and that like it could be in, as art or it could be about teaching or anything. We often never know the ripples of the things that we do.
Yeah.
Some of the people that are the most moved, some of the people that get the most, even from just a kind, word that you say one day, or, like anything, or even just like a moment of you just being you. Sometimes those things are huge for other people, and most of the time, we never ever know.
Hmm.
And so for me, like the way that I think about sharing our gifts with the world is I look at the way that trees scatter seeds, and most of the seeds never germinate, and of the ones that do, most of them don't grow all the way, but some of them always do. And I really feel like that's true of, the things that I do in this life. You never know where the seeds go. You never know where they grow. You never know who they help or what life they feed in some way. And I really feel like it's about trust. It's about finding that relationship of trust with just giving out our gifts into this world. To be gifted to me doesn't mean to be special, it means to have been given something. We've all been gifted by life with this capacity to express and to connect. And when we can practice doing it from this place of trust, it doesn't even matter what ripples come back to us and what don't. I got I don't know, like 5, 6 years ago, I got this tiny letter, little handwritten thing in the smallest, cutest little envelope I'd ever seen. And it just said, I don't know, Dave, something you said, one time many years ago, just gave me so much in that moment. And I have no idea who wrote it. I've never known. But for me, it's kind of like just the perfect physical illustration of the truth about just putting ourselves out there.
I love
It's
that.
beautiful, yeah.
And you've made me think about another little act that's similar that's happened this year is outside my front door, someone came and put four heart-shaped rocks of
Mm,
different sizes, and I don't know who's done it.
mm.
That's those little expressions. I mean, to expect can lead to disappointment on any level, but to get those random receipts of love or appreciation are beautiful, just like you described in the cutest little envelope, and unknown. Mm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, Dave, it has been an absolute joy and inspiration to talk with you today. And thank you as well for reminding us that our messy, goofy, magnificent selves are not only welcome, but are the magic itself. And
Mm.
yeah, don't forget to check Dave's workshops or websites or whatever you want to see of him and dive into the world of flow. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast as well. And yeah, leave a comment for the algorithm. Don't forget that. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's amazing.
Until next time, then let's keep creating, expressing, and most importantly, flowing. Thank you. Bye bye.